The man of ressentiment is neither upright nor naive, nor honest and straightforward with himself. His soul squints. His spirit loves hiding places, secret paths, and back doors. Those are my words from On the Genealogy of Morals, and they describe what I believe to be the single most dangerous psychological force operating in human civilization. Not hatred, not rage, not cruelty, something quieter, something that disguises itself as virtue, something that poisons from the inside while wearing the mask of righteousness. I am Friedrich Nietzsche. This is day 4, and today we must speak about the sickness you carry without knowing it. Ressentiment. This is not a French word I chose for elegance. I chose it because the German language had no word for what I was describing, and the English word resentment does not capture it either. Resentment is a feeling. Ressentiment is a condition, a way of being, a structure of the soul that warps everything it touches. Let me explain what it is, and then I will show you where it lives inside you. And I warn you, this may be the most uncomfortable session of our entire journey. Imagine an animal, a predator, a lion, a hawk, a wolf. This animal sees something it wants. It moves toward it. It takes it. If it fails, it suffers, recovers, and tries again. It does not moralize about its desire. It does not tell itself stories about whether it deserves what it wants. It acts from its nature, directly, and without shame. Now imagine a different animal, one that is not strong enough to take what it wants, one that is caged or chained or simply too weak. This animal also has desires. It also wants, but it cannot act. What happens to desire that cannot be expressed? It does not disappear. It turns inward. It ferments. It sours. And over time, it transforms into something entirely different. The animal that cannot take what it wants begins to tell itself that it does not want it, that wanting itself is wrong, that those who take what they want are evil, that weakness is actually virtue, that inability is actually choice, that the cage is actually freedom. This is ressentiment, the creative reinterpretation of your own powerlessness as moral superiority. I trace this mechanism through the entire history of Western morality, and what I found was devastating. In my book on the genealogy of morals, I described 2 fundamental types of moral creation. I called them master morality and slave morality. And I must be very precise here because these terms have been grotesquely distorted by those who never read me carefully. I was not celebrating slavery or condemning it. I was not arguing for the domination of the weak by the strong. I was describing a psychological mechanism that operates in every human soul. Master morality begins with a yes. It says, I am good. What I do is good. My strength is good. My joy is good. My creation is good. And only afterward, as an afterthought, does it say, and those who are not like me, well, they are unfortunate. They are poor. They are to be pitied. The master looks at himself first. He defines good based on what he is. Bad is merely the absence of that goodness. Slave morality begins with a no. It begins not by affirming itself but by condemning another. It says, he is evil, the strong one, the one who takes, the one who creates, the one who lives without apology. He is evil. And only afterward, as a reaction, does it say, therefore I, who am not like him, must be good. Do you see the difference? One creates values from fullness, the other creates values from negation. One looks in the mirror and says yes. The other looks at its enemy and says no. This is not ancient history. This is not about Rome or Greece or the priestly castes of ancient civilizations. This is about you, right now, today. Ressentiment is the engine of modern psychology. It is operating everywhere, in everyone, disguised as morality, as justice, as righteous anger, as social concern. Let me show you what it looks like. The person who mocks the successful and tells himself it is because he values deeper things. That is ressentiment. The person who despises beauty and says it is because she has seen through superficiality. That is ressentiment. The person who ridicules ambition and calls his own passivity being at peace. That is ressentiment. The person who attacks those who create and tells herself she is holding them accountable. That is ressentiment. The person who has never risked anything, judging those who risk everything. The person who has never built anything, tearing down those who build. The person who has never truly loved, mocking those who love foolishly and without restraint. This is the soul that squints. This is the spirit that loves hiding places and back doors, because ressentiment never announces itself honestly. It never says, I am bitter because I am powerless. I am jealous because I am afraid. I condemn others because I have not yet found the courage to create. No. It wraps itself in the language of morality. It hides behind words like fairness and justice and equality and humility, not because these words have no meaning, they do, but because ressentiment corrupts them. It uses noble concepts as weapons to punish those who remind it of its own unused potential. And here is the deepest wound that ressentiment inflicts. It does not merely distort how you see others, it distorts how you see yourself. When you are in the grip of ressentiment, you cannot create anything authentic, because your entire value system is reactive. It is built not on what you love, but on what you hate, not on what you desire, but on what you envy, not on who you are, but on who you resent. The person consumed by ressentiment has no center. He is defined entirely by his enemies. Take away the object of his resentment, and he collapses. He does not know who he is without someone to blame. Now, I can feel your resistance, and I honor it because it means you are listening. You are thinking, but Nietzsche, what about genuine injustice? What about real oppression? What about situations where anger is the appropriate response? And you are right to ask. I am not saying that all anger is ressentiment. I am not saying that injustice does not exist. I am not saying that the strong are always right and the weak are always wrong. Only a fool would read my work that way, and many fools have. What I am saying is this. There is a difference between a person who sees injustice and acts to change it from a position of strength, and a person who uses the language of justice to disguise their own bitterness, envy, and impotence. The first is a warrior. The second is a slave who has learned to dress his chains in the clothing of virtue, and you must learn to tell the difference within yourself. Because here is the truth that will set you free if you can bear to hear it. Every time you judge someone who has what you secretly want, you are in ressentiment. Every time you diminish someone's achievement to make yourself feel better about your own inaction, you are in ressentiment. Every time you tell yourself that you do not care about something that you actually care about deeply, but are afraid to pursue, you are in ressentiment. Every time you confuse your fear with wisdom, your paralysis with patience, your bitterness with discernment, you are in ressentiment. And the only cure is honesty. Brutal, unflinching, compassionate honesty with yourself. That is what we will practice now. Find your position. Let your body settle, spine aligned, hands resting wherever they are comfortable. Close your eyes. Breathe in, not to escape, not to relax into comfortable numbness, but to prepare yourself for an act of extraordinary courage, the courage to see yourself clearly. And release. Again, breathe in. Feel the air fill your lungs. Feel the aliveness of your body, this body that carries both your greatness and your poison. And release. Let your breath become natural. Now, I am going to ask you to do something that requires real bravery. I want you to think of someone you resent. Not someone who has harmed you criminally, not an abuser or a predator. That is a different matter entirely. I mean someone whose success, whose confidence, whose freedom, whose life bothers you. Someone you find yourself judging, criticizing, diminishing. Someone who, when you hear their name or see their face, produces a tightening in your chest, a sourness in your stomach, a hardening behind your eyes. You know who it is. Do not pretend you do not. Let their face appear in your mind now. Good. Now feel what happens in your body when you see this person. Where does the tension gather? Where does the heat rise? What does your jaw do? What happens to your breathing? Do not judge what you feel. Simply observe. You are a scientist of your own soul right now. You are examining the mechanics of ressentiment as it operates in real time in your own body. Now, here's the hard part. I want you to ask yourself one question, and I want you to be devastatingly honest. What does this person have or do or embody that I secretly want for myself? Stay with this. Do not deflect. Do not rationalize. Do not tell yourself that you do not actually want it, that it does not really matter, that you have chosen differently. What do they have that you want? Perhaps it is freedom. Perhaps it is confidence. Perhaps it is creative expression. Perhaps it is financial abundance. Perhaps it is the ability to live without apology. Perhaps it is love. Perhaps it is simply the courage to be themselves without asking permission. Whatever it is, let yourself feel the wanting. Not the resentment, the wanting, the raw, honest, vulnerable desire for something you have told yourself you do not care about, or should not care about, or are above caring about. This wanting is not shameful. This wanting is your life force. It is the energy that ressentiment has captured and twisted into poison. When you allow yourself to want honestly, without shame, without moralizing, without hiding behind judgment of others, the poison begins to dissolve. Breathe into this feeling now and say these words silently. I want what I want, and I am not ashamed. Again, I want what I want, and I am not ashamed. One more time. Let the words cut through every layer of pretense. I want what I want, and I am not ashamed. Good. Now, something extraordinary has happened, whether you feel it or not. By acknowledging your desire honestly, you have shifted from slave morality to master morality. You have moved from reaction to creation, from no to yes, from ressentiment to authenticity. You have not yet achieved what you desire. That is the work of the coming days. But you have done something far more important. You have stopped lying to yourself about what you desire, and that is the beginning of freedom. Now let the image of that person fade. You do not need to resolve your feelings about them today. You simply needed to use them as a mirror that showed you your own hidden wanting. Begin to return to the room, to this place, to this moment. Feel your body, your hands, your feet, the surface beneath you. Feel your breath, feel the beating of your heart. And when you are ready, gently let your eyes open. Welcome to the fourth day. Today, you have done something rare. You have looked at one of the most deeply buried psychological mechanisms in the human soul, and you have seen it operating in yourself. Most people never do this. Most people go to their graves blaming others, judging others, diminishing others, never once realizing that their morality was a disguise for their own unlived life. You are no longer most people. I once wrote, "Whoever despises himself nevertheless esteems himself as one who despises." Even self-hatred is a form of ressentiment, a turning of the poisoned gaze upon oneself. The cure is not self-hatred. The cure is not self-love, as your modern teachers suggest. The cure is self-honesty. See what you are. See what you want. See what you fear. And then, not from bitterness, not from envy, not from reaction, but from the clear, clean flame of your own authentic desire, begin to act. Tomorrow we go deeper still. We will meet the pale criminal, the part of you that punishes itself for its own desires, the part that commits an act and then turns its own judgment against itself. Guilt, shame, and the terrible cycle of self-punishment. It will be difficult, but after what you have faced today, I believe you are ready. Until tomorrow, I am Friedrich Nietzsche, and this is day 4.